Good morning and welcome to Old Faithful on a very, very special morning in Yellowstone National Park. I'm very pleased to be here today. My name is Suzanne Lewis and I'm honored to be the superintendent of Yellowstone National Park, especially on a day like today where we have the ability to host you, the American public, many, many of our special donors and friends throughout the country who've decided to join us today. We're so delighted that you've come here to Old Faithful to help us celebrate the opening of this spectacular new visitor center. And I want to start by thanking the Wyoming National Guard and its 67th Army Band for their rousing musical numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And one of our favorite traditions here at Yellowstone is our very own Yellowstone National Park Mounted Color Guard for posting the colors this morning. Thank you very much. On more than one occasion, I've had the help of Val Strum, who's here to my right, who's going to help me today as our sign language interpreter. Thank you very much for coming back today. You know, we specifically chose this morning, August 25th, to hold this ceremony because it also gives us the opportunity to celebrate the birthday of the National Park Service, which today was created 94 years ago. Happy birthday, National Park Service. And today is a very fitting time for us to reflect on the desires people have to learn about special places like Yellowstone and the more than 395 other units of the National Park System. Of course, Yellowstone is the world's first national park, which it celebrated its own 138th birthday this past March. So, Yellowstone, happy birthday to you as well. Today we're going to take a little bit of your time before we let you into this brand new building to look at the legacy of those first park museums, all the benefactors who have supported this park for many years, and the role of early park rangers who all helped to connect people like you to this magnificent place. We're joined today by some very special guests who all played an extremely important role in making today possible. And I'd like to begin by introducing some of them to you at this time. With us on both stages, on my left and my right, and in the audience, are many current and former members of the Board of Directors and the Advisory Council of the Yellowstone Park Foundation. And I'd like all of you to stand now so that we can recognize your great contribution. Yellowstone Park Foundation board members, Advisory Council members, emeritus, thank you very much. We're also here today with several members of our other partner organization, the Board of Directors of the Yellowstone Association, and lots of staff members. So if you are a member of the Yellowstone Association, its board, or its staff, please stand so we can recognize you as well today. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Yellowstone Association has been supporting Yellowstone National Park for more than 76 years, and we congratulate you for that. I think my microphone just went away. It's a good thing I have a booming voice. Our first speaker this morning has very strong connections to the Rocky Mountain West and a record of public service that goes back nearly 20 years. His distinguished law career included serving 2 years as the United States Attorney for the state and District of Colorado. And among Tom Strickland's conservation credentials are his role as a founder and board member of the Great Outdoors Colorado, a wonderful program which uses state lottery proceeds to protect and manage the state's wildlife, parks, and open spaces. But in 2009, the Secretary of Interior, Ken Salazar, asked Tom to come to Washington, D.C. to serve as the Secretary's Chief of Staff. And then just a few years later, President Obama nominated Tom to serve as the Assistant Secretary for the Department of the Interior to oversee the Fish and Wildlife and Parks section of that organization, a post which he takes on very seriously, looking over each day the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the National Park Service. I'd like you to join me now in giving a very warm Yellowstone National Park welcome to our Assistant Secretary, Mr. Tom Strickland. I don't know what that is.
Thank you, Suzanne. I too have a pretty deep and booming voice, so I'll kick it into gear here. Good morning to all of you, and a special warm welcome to members of the public here and all of those individuals who helped make this happen. Suzanne, I also want to acknowledge your great service as Superintendent of Yellowstone Park. You've done a spectacular job. Please join me in acknowledging Suzanne's tremendous leadership. We also are very, very proud, Secretary Salazar and President Obama and myself, that we think we picked the best person in America to lead the National Park Service, and he's proving us right every day that he comes to work. John Jarvis, who you'll hear from in a minute, the head of the Park Service, Director of the Park Service. Secretary Salazar asked me to pass on his warmest regards. He has a deep and abiding love for the outdoors, having grown up in the San Luis Valley of Colorado, a very, very beautiful and special place. And in his leadership in various roles in Colorado, he's done a great deal to protect and preserve the natural beauty of that place. And some months ago, with President Obama, he initiated an effort called America's Great Outdoors to basically initiate a conversation with Americans all over the country about their view of conservation and protecting the beauty of this country going forward in this century. We have a tremendous legacy in this country, a unique legacy of protecting the most special places for the benefit and value of all the people, not just a select few. Many of you saw the extraordinary series that Ken Burns and Dayton Duncan did that ran last year and again this year on the national parks called America's Best Idea, a term that Wallace Stegner, the great Western writer, coined about the national park system. On a day like today, in front of one of the most iconic spots in America, I think we can all come together and recognize this was one of America's best ideas. And so now Yellowstone, because it's the first park and the oldest park, and because the vision it took to set it aside when this was not even a state, and when you had to get to it by horseback or foot, was such tremendous vision. If we can bring that vision forward to the 21st century, and as we reach out to have this dialogue around the country with what are the opportunities and steps that we need to take as a people so that our grandchildren and great-grandchildren can have events like this celebrating the steps that we took decades into the future. That's the challenge that we feel, and that's the call to action that we're embarking on here in the coming weeks and months. But today we're here to celebrate. And as Suzanne said last night at an event, I don't think we take enough time in our lives to pause and reflect on the really good things that are underway. And the national parks are something that pull people together across the spectrum, political spectrum, people of whatever backgrounds, people from around the world, and international visitors come and love and treasure these parks. And as I was thinking about my remarks for today, I was thinking about the words of a great Pulitzer Prize-winning Native American author named Scott Momaday. And he wrote, and I think it's very applicable to landscapes in this park and many others that we've protected around the country. He wrote as follows: "Once in his life, a man ought to concentrate his mind upon the remembered earth. He ought to give himself up to a particular landscape in his experience, to look at it from as many angles as he can, to wonder upon it, to dwell upon it. He ought to imagine that he touches it with his hands at every season and listens to the sounds that are made upon it. He ought to imagine the creatures there and all the faintest motions of the wind. He ought to recollect the glare of the moon and the colors of the dawn and dusk." For so many millions of people in this country over the last 138 years and throughout the world, the images here in this park fill one's mind and heart with a belief in the beauty of this extraordinary planet. So to be here today to christen this beautiful new facility that will bring this experience home to people in years to come is a great and exciting and happy moment. I'm honored to be here on behalf of President Obama and Secretary Salazar. Have a great day, enjoy the Visitor Center, and support your national parks. Thank you very much.